So good morning, everyone. We welcome you in this today's webinar of Social Stock Exchange. And today we have a panelist, Professor Bala sir. He's there every Saturday with us in all the webinars since very, very long, almost like more than a year now. We have Mr. Kaushal Kumar coming from, he's a senior manager at a social stock exchange, NSE. And we have Ms. Meena Raghunathan. Ms. Meena Raghunathan comes from the impact sector. She worked for 19 years in non-profit world at the Center for Environment Education, a national level NGO which was a designated center of excellence under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Government of India. She continued in the development sector for the next 15 years, but as a part of a large corporate, starting up and heading CSR of the GMR Group, one of the India's largest infrastructure groups with interest in airports, power, roads, with a focus on education, health, skill training, and livelihoods. She is also having significant experience at the senior most levels in a corporate, including on several boards of corporates as well as non-profits. Teaches courses at the postgraduate level on sustainability, responsibility, ethics, social entrepreneurship, etc. She has also, there are several publications, including Doing Good, Navigating the CSR Maze in India, developed textbooks for various levels, including the first textbook on environment for the undergraduate level in India. She is a certified social auditor, and her interest is in seeing how best nonprofits can enhance impact and leverage opportunities, whether CSR or social stock exchange. We welcome you, ma'am, for today's webinar, and looking forward to your experience and inputs.
Great to you, Meena. I would really say that, it is really a women empowerment, what you are actually living like an example. Thanks a lot. Heads up to you. Yeah, go ahead, Tal.
Yes. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Kaushal. Mr. Kaushal is an international development professional with over 12 years of experience. He has proven track record in government advisory, development strategy, program design, new product development, policy analysis, monitoring and evaluation, and program management. Currently, he oversees the social stock exchange at the National Stock Exchange, NSE. So we welcome you, Mr. Kaushal, and looking forward for, to understand the practical side of getting registered on social stock exchange and what are the benefits and the problems NGOs are facing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
I think this you can skip. Everybody knows, both of us. Yeah.
We have Ms. Ashwini Inamdar also with us. She's a senior partner at Mehta and Mehta. She's a qualified CS and has a master's in law. So madam is also there. So first we will start with a basic discussion on social stock exchange. I would like to ask both the panelists, to show up some light on the topic, and thereafter I will start with the presentation.
So, Dolly, who goes first? You can tell us.
Yeah, you can start with Meena.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Wonderfully exciting to be here, though I feel very, very unqualified in front of not only the panelists, but all the participants who are all, company secretaries and much more in this line. But I thought the differentiator or the value add I could do was to kind of share my experiences from the nonprofit world. That's where I have worked. And the social stock exchange is essentially a support mechanism for nonprofits. Why has the need for such a stock exchange come up? One primary reason is that, where do nonprofits traditionally, where have they got their funding from? It has been they are supposed to raise it from the community. There used to be many funding agencies, international funding agencies traditionally. But as you know, there are two things which have happened. One is that India now does not want to be a net, it doesn't want to get donations. We are no longer in the category of being very, very poor. So we are actively saying, no, we don't need funds. And also FCRA restrictions on NGOs have closed off that channel of funding for most NGOs. So there is very little fund flow from outside to inside, and this used to be a significant contributor to nonprofits. So that one source of funding has got cut off. Another kind of source of funding, the government itself used to have many, many schemes of funding and supporting NGOs, which are also going down in numbers. So what has happened? A lot of the kind of emphasis with regard to funding has shifted to CSR, right? So now with the law, with many, increasing number of companies, maybe 25, 30, 35,000 companies have to contribute 2% average of the last 3 years net profit to CSR. So this has become a major source of funding. But this is not without its challenges for the NGOs, because CSR funding is like on an annual cycle. Okay, now it is 1+3, but it's still an annual cycle, and you have to finish the project within that time. And we must understand that social projects are not the same as putting up a building or running an enterprise. Social project means changing people's hearts and minds, changing their behavior very often. And you can't make that happen within timelines. There's always a little difficulty. So, even the government studies say it's very easy to build toilets, but it's not easy to get people to use them. So, the social sector cannot work on such tight timelines, and the CSR laws are such that if they don't perform and complete the budget, then the company which donated to them is in trouble. So what companies tend to do is they only go with the very well-known, very large people whom they trust. So they may be, lakhs of NGOs, but only a handful will get the CSR funding. So all this kind of probably threw up a kind of urgency in finding other sources of funding for NGOs, nonprofits. And the social stock exchange is one of the responses. And I think Kaushal will tell us a lot more about this. So this is one sector. NGOs are really squeezed for funds, believe me. They are trying to fill a gap which, government or corporate is not able to fill, but they just don't have the resources. They are really hard pressed. We will, as we go on, discuss more of the challenges that they have. So they desperately need money. We see social stock exchange as a very hopeful kind of step, but it is still very new. It is still too complicated for NGOs to go through. We will discuss all this as we go now. So this is the challenges of the NGO, and you have the emerging social enterprise sector. What is a social enterprise and how is it different from NGOs? A social enterprise is something that tries to work at scale, bring about a systemic change, and use business methods to get some revenue. So if you run a pay and use toilet, for instance, like Sulabh Sauchalaya, everybody must have heard of it. So there is some revenue stream. Typically, NGOs don't have a revenue stream. Social enterprises have a revenue stream. So the social stock exchange is going to be open for such also, because they don't have seed funding. Banks won't give them money to put up toilets or put up RO plants or whatever. So this is a ray of hope for social enterprises also. So let me stop at this stage and we'll come back with any questions or discussions. Thank you.
Yeah, over to Kaushal, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much, ma'am, for setting the context. It's very important, rightly said by you, that how this entire social stock exchange has the need. I mean, it's a kind of need right now, and somehow it's in a very nascent stage. So I'll start with like how it started. So going back to our 2019 Honorable Finance Minister's budget speech, where she mentioned about social stock exchange, and the main idea behind that was how this rising capital market or like the entire this exchanges and everything, the way it's growing, how it can create some sort of scope for masses, especially into social sector. And that is when, like, that was seeded, and then a lot of things happened in between, over a period of last 4 years. I mean, starting from July 2019. So working group got formed, then report came, then technical group was there to implement the practical, I mean, coming up with the practicality of the implementation. And then it got launched, and then, it took almost 3.5 years, 4 years, and it came up with the SEBI came up with the framework, and it's hardly like 1.5 years old phenomena in India. Considering that there are so many countries, they tried it, and in most of the countries it failed also. So most important thing, we will talk about it, why it failed in other countries, and what are the different indicators signing up, for India to succeed with this. But most likely, when we talk about the need of this entire thing, if we see the overall, the number of NPOs in India, it's more than 30 lakhs, right? And we can say that we have more NGOs than schools in India. And I don't know if it is irony or what. If we see Darpan platform, we have more than 2.6 lakh NGOs. So when they go for fundraising, there is a lot of challenge and pressure also to showcase your credibility, and showing that what is that called, like showing that trust to the funder, that we are the right NGO and we are there to help your cause. So fundraising is something which is very challenging for most of the NPOs, considering the kind of funds we are getting from donors, multilaterals. At the same time, FCRA is another, like, chapter where we can talk a lot about. When it comes to donor side, I mean, you are a donor, or if you go to a donor has a huge challenge in terms of understanding who is the right NGO, right? Or which NGO will implement their cause in the best way. So it's a great confusion for them also, right? And if we talk about all those channels, that who are such donors, so as ma'am rightly said that it can be government, it can be donors like multilateral, bilateral organizations. Same time, CSR funding is there, institutional fundings are there. But there was one thing missing, that you and I, as a citizen, can we also contribute if we want to, contribute to some cause. So how till now we have been doing it? Say, for example, like it's my birthday and I want to go and distribute some sort of like blankets among poor people. But somehow that is not the kind of method or kind of impact we are creating through that is very limited. So this social stock exchange is also needed to create a kind of parallel platform. It's not like one NPO which is raising fund through other platforms cannot raise through that if they are on social stock exchange. So it's a parallel platform to fill the different gaps. And when we talk about need of this social stock exchange, if we see that by 2030, the kind of money we need to meet those targets, we are not able to meet those targets. So we need to have some parallel platform to fill that deficit. And that is why the social stock exchange became a kind of parallel platform to raise funds for NPOs. And it's a platform where you can say that one NGO raises fund for their project, and one donor also puts a lot of trust in the NGO that, okay, so there are exchanges involved, and exchanges are known for trust, transparency, and that credibility. So a donor also finds that comfort to put money in that project. That is one thing. Second is like, when we talk about different due diligence thing and all those things. So then for registration, the kind of due diligence happens. Certainly that actually gives an indication, and that puts a lot of trust in an NGO once they pass through. And it also shows that, a NGO is, ready to share all the documents. Means they're transparent to share all those documents, and then transparency builds a lot of trust. right? So with that trust, if they come for raising fund through social or stock exchange, the chances and likelihood of getting those donors for their project is very high. So this is the main, reason why social stock exchange, and this is how it got formed. Certainly, we will talk more about its eligibility criteria, how you register yourself, what are certain thin lines where we can talk about how one can be eligible or one is eligible. What are the different parameters where you may find yourself ineligible? If you are ineligible, then what are the things that you can do to become eligible next year? So there's so many things that we will talk about, and certainly it will be blend of both things, because one, there are two parts for raising fund on social stock exchange. One is registration and second is listing. So we'll talk about both the aspects in detail, and we will take care of all the questions. We'll try to take care of all the questions coming from you. Still we have like 2 hours only for this entire discussion. Just in case we have more questions, I will share my number, I will share my email ID also, so that you can reach out to me directly and we can have a detailed discussion also if required in future. Yeah.
Mr. Balkrishnan, if I can just come in for 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Kaushal brought up a very important point, and I just want to flag this. What is the difference between charity and philanthropy? So he mentioned, when you go out and distribute blankets, which we all want to do, we like to do, or, if you find somebody poor, you try to help them. That is charity. When does it become philanthropy? Rather than just reacting to what you see, you try to dig deeper and find the cause for that and fix the cause. So generally, individuals can do charity, institutions can do philanthropy. I mean, they can take up philanthropic. So if you see, that a lot of children in your neighborhood are, falling sick with diarrhea. One is to distribute medicines for diarrhea, have a doctor checkup. But what would be a more strategic and long-term approach? It would be to figure out, why are they all falling sick with diarrhea? Is there a contaminated source of water? And to fix that problem. So charity is like treating symptoms. Philanthropy is finding the root cause and fixing the root cause. Right? So I just wanted to flag this, because Kaushal had brought up a similar thing. So most of us are in charity mode as individuals. Social stock exchange can help us move to philanthropic mode by working through NGOs. That's all. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, ma'am.
Meena, you brought out a very valid point. Even individually, personally, many of us, we keep donating the things what Kaushal actually said. Maybe, some of us giving the books, some of the giving the children who are needing education and other things and all those things. We do all those things. But you brought out the very, very valid point, number one. And number two, on this subject, it is a very new subject actually. Although we have been talking last 3-4 years, it has actually come for the first time after the 2019 budget, when it was presented by the Government of India. Today, we do not have answers categorically for many of the answers. As you rightly said, how the gap is going to be bridged between an enterprises and the investors is actually still a big challenge. Nobody has got a clear-cut answers and other things. Another thing is again, the social enterprises, although they are doing many good things, how they are actually going to grow, and especially when it comes to the funding, where you have put the very valid point in the beginning of your address itself. That is a big source of things. Because as you rightly say, people wanted to go only to the known people, bigger people, and other people are neglected. Then how they are going to grow up, how they are going to get the fund is a big question which is actually remaining there. And again, one more thing is, as rightly said, many people wanted to do, but how to actually get this investment demand met? That is the next question arises. Luckily, I think the NSA has relaxed the minimum fund of applications from lakh and lakhs of rupees to some minimum 10,000, 20,000 rupees or something like that. 20 or 10, I don't know. But they have brought down to the level which is affordable to the individual. That is what they have actually brought. And again, next thing which is actually coming, are we also going to recognize what you call high reward, high performing projects? Because that is most important thing which is going to happen. But today, if I look at the NSC, what people can do is they can only buy the zero coupon, zero principles. Although originally it was actually brought out, when you actually say a profit organization, non-profit social enterprises, both the things are there. But it has to go a very long way. And I think today we will have most of the things which is clarified, and equally, I also see there are almost about 190 plus participants who are already there. The subject is very interesting. There is many people are also much interested. We look forward to hear both of you, because we are all only reading what is the theoretical thing we are reading. Practicality when it comes to us, you are the real people who are there. We really look forward the insight from both of you. Okay.
Thanks.
You share your screen and start the presentation.
Yeah. It's visible, right, to everyone?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah.
But you know to put it in the presentation mode. It is.
Yeah. Okay. So we will start with today's topic. First of all, thank you, Kaushal sir and Meena madam, to give the inputs from your both the different angles. One is coming from NGO and one is coming from the NSE, where we will understand today practicality about and what are the issues there on the social stock exchange registration, and then later on listing and funding and the compliances. Okay. So we will start today with an insight to the social stock exchange. So why there was a need for social stock exchange? So at present, social development sector in India receives funding through multiple sources like CSR, philanthropy, and government funding and retail charity. However, those resources are not uniformly assessed by the social enterprises. So the concept of this SSE, Social Stock Exchange, gained the momentum during the pandemic, highlighting the need for the social capital for social enterprises and voluntary organizations that are working for the social cause and the welfare. So the objective behind this SSE is to breach the gap between the private sector and non-profit sector for utilization of this resource. This platform is meant to serve the FPs, that is for-profit enterprises and non-profit sector providers, by channelizing greater capital to them. And this is one of the identified as an important partner towards addressing the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 agenda. Now, this is a very basic to understand about what is social stock exchange. Now, social stock exchange is a segment of the existing stock exchanges, that is BSE and NSE, that can help social enterprise to raise fund from the public through the the stock exchanges mechanism. It allows the listing of the projects of the non-profit organizations on stock exchanges, which will again, provide an alternative fundraising structure. It aims to provide an alternative fundraising instrument. So in the simple terms, this platform is a medium between social enterprise and the fund providers. There is also a definition given for the social stock exchange. It means a separate segment of a recognized stock exchanges having nationwide trading terminals permitted to register especially non-profit organizations and to list their securities in accordance with the provisions of the SEBI regulations.
Kaushal, would you like to add listing of the particular project? Because you know what happened to other companies, when you go for the NSE BSE rating, companies' shares are listed. But here that is not the case. This is actually the particular project is actually listed. Could you highlight on that?
Yeah, sure. So normally, what we think is your NPO is listed, but actually NPO gets registered, and then the project of NPO gets listed. Why it is so? Because one NPO can come up with so many fundraising projects, or opportunities. And same time, like they can come up with multiple projects parallelly, or they can go for next phase of fundraising as well, depending on the kind of their project needs, the kind of funding. So this is what, like, so till now, if I give you the current status, there are more than 90 NPOs got listed on NSE SSE so far, and there are 10 projects of 10 NPOs are listed on NSE SSE, right? And they have been able to raise 22.37 crores. And we already have 8 more projects in pipeline to list on the platform of more than 20 CR, around 21 crore of the project size. Yeah.
If I understand correctly, Kaushal, a company can do multiple things like, in the field of education, the field of healthcare, in the health of other such activities. But as and when they think that it is the right time for the listing, they can get their project listed. Until they do the preliminary things, etc., and all those things, they will not to go for the listing. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. And we will talk about the entire process flow. I mean, in detail, once this understanding gets clear and this context is set by Dolly.
Sure.
Thanks.
Sure.
So moving onwards, let's understand the history of social stock exchange, how it was started globally, and what was their learnings from that. In some countries there was a success, and in some countries there was a failure. So the concept of social stock exchange came into existence in the year 2003, when the first social stock exchange was introduced and launched in Brazil. Thereafter, many other countries, South Africa in year 2006, Portugal in the year 2009, Canada in the year 2013. Then again in the same year, Singapore, United Kingdom, and in year 2019, Jamaica also launched these social stock exchanges. However, only 3 out of the 7 social stock exchanges that were set up still survive and function. They are based in Canada, Singapore, and Jamaica. Yeah, Kaushal, would you like to show up some light on this?
No, so basically there are 2 things. One is like why most of the exchanges failed, because they tried to set up a separate exchange for this social, sector projects. But here we have a kind of big, safety from because the government is very keen and supporting social stock exchange. Same time, it's well crafted by SEBI through their all the working group and their advisory committees. They are regularly discussing about that. They are seeking different feedbacks from ecosystem, and they are modifying certain things, coming up with better options. Like initially, the minimum size was 1 CR. I mean, the project size where one NPO can raise funds for. But now it's 50 lakhs. The minimum, contribution was 2 lakhs, because initially it was targeting only HNIs, but now it has democratized, and we call it retail funders can also contribute to different projects, which is now 10,000 rupees. So you and I can also contribute to different causes and projects when the issue is open. So regularly, like some changes are coming up, and this is a part of already established and successful exchanges in India. So these all things are taken care of. Same time, there is a capacity building fund where NABARD, SIDBI, NSE, and BSE are there, and they are regularly trying to build the capacity of different NPOs. Even exchanges are, regularly, doing some events. So we have also conducted like almost like 5 different awareness seminars across India. So from Bangalore to Delhi to Varanasi, Kochi, and then Hyderabad was last. We are doing a lot of satellite workshop also to provide that hand holding, because till now, as all of us said, that there is a lot of questions where NPOs are finding it a bit challenging to register themselves. So we are trying to getting into the subject and making it easier. because it's not that difficult the way like we are processing right now, and certainly it is a new one, new phenomena for nation, and first time it's happening where NPOs have to come getting into like all the financial aspects of disclosures, because not for profit organization means they are not talking about profit. So how can even the finances will come in place and they will be streamlining those documents. But now gradually it's becoming very clear. So that is the one of the reasons. These are the reasons why we are very excited about SSC in India. And for the information of all the listeners here, last year only when Malaysian delegation came to us and they tried to understand end-to-end social stock exchange, and they were so keen to actually study the entire framework. They did their homework, and most likely we are anticipating that they will also come up with their platform very soon. So there are signs which I mean, and those are very encouraging. And gradually it's going to next level, and certainly we'll talk about it in detail. Yeah, Dali, over to you. Thanks.
Somebody is asking a question.
Yeah,
Social stock exchange means mainly for the non-profit organization. They can raise the funds and get the project listed. Does it mean the profit companies cannot take part in this? Is this understanding is correct?
They can take, but initially the focus was for not-for-profit organizations. Certainly, for-profit social enterprises can also come on the platform and they can raise fund for their project. However, they do not need to be registered. And the security that we will talk about, which is zero coupon, zero principal, is not for-profit and social enterprises. They will come via the normal route, which is SME or main board. So we will talk about that also. Till now, there is no for-profit enterprise listed on a social stock exchange. And now we are actually starting to focus on them, because for not-for-profit, it is already established and there are so many. We have more than 140 NPOs in the pipeline of registration. There are more than there are 8 NPOs already in the pipeline of listing, and there are so many several NPOs already working on their draft fundraising document. So it's going well, and now is the time to focus on that for-profit organization that we have started doing. And certainly, when it comes to the question, yes, they can come and raise fund through social stock exchange, but they will come via this SME or main board platform.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot giving so much detailed insights so that, all the participant can have that understanding. Yeah, thank you. So moving onwards, let's understand how it is started in India. Okay, so in 2019-20, in the budget speech by the finance minister, for the first time, social stock exchange, that term was introduced by our finance minister. And then in 2019, SEBI has constituted the working group. In 2020, SEBI has submitted that report of the working group for the public comments. And then later on, they have set up the technical group and they also submitted the report. In 2021, SEBI has approved the framework of social stock exchange. Later on, they have introduced the zero coupon, zero principal as a securities by MOF. Then in 2022, SEBI amended the LODR, ICDR regulations and as well as AIF regulations. And then in 2022, BSE and NSE received an in-principle approval to set up the social stock exchange. So basically, only within a year of its launch, SSE has received tremendous response. As just now Kaushal sir has mentioned that they have already, 140, it will be in pipeline, right? So yeah, so there are it has been just more than a year now. But if we talk about the within a year of the launch, NSC SSE platform garnered over 75 registrations and 10 projects, raising over INR 22 crores. And first listing of NPO that happened in December 2023 on both the social stock exchanges, NSE and BSE. Then let's just understand the basic terminologies of the stakeholders of social stock exchange. There are different stakeholders like non-profit organizations, for-profit enterprises. Then there are depositors, registrar and transfer agent, social impact assessor, market infrastructure institution, regulators and donors, and information repositories, which plays a very important role in the functionality and operational part of the social stock exchange. Yeah. Then there is as we have seen earlier in the definition of social stock exchange, there was an important term as a social enterprise. So what is social enterprise? Social enterprise is a type of organization which aligns non-profit social mission with financial sustainability through commercial viability. According to SEBI ICDR regulations, social enterprise means either not-for-profit organization or for-profit social enterprises that meets eligibility criteria specified in SEBI ICDR regulations. Also, there are some key features of social enterprises, which is main in social enterprises is a social or environmental cause. It has a revenue generating model where profits are earned through sale of product or services. Revenue generated is invested back for a social cause. These enterprises are operates like companies and have enterprise orientations. To be identified as a social enterprises, NPO and FCSC shall establish primary social intent. Now let's have a look at the eligibility conditions. So as per the regulation 292F of the ICDR regulations, social impact is the primary purpose. Broad areas have been identified in line with CSR and sustainable development goals. There should also be a quantum of social work. So the enterprise must have at least 67% coming from the revenue, expenses, or beneficiaries coming from providing eligible activities to members of the target population. Now, what is eligible activities that we'll see in the next slide. There is also one more important condition, that is target segment. Social enterprise shall target undeserved or less privileged population segment or regions recording lower performance in the development priorities of central or state government. And there are further four categories or four organizations, we can say, who are ineligible to be identified as a social enterprise. First is a corporate foundations, then political or religious organization or activities, professional or trade associations, and last one is infrastructure and housing companies, except affordable housing. So
Yeah, so I want to add two things here when it comes to practicality of this eligibility. So there are certain things. One is about corporate foundation. They are not eligible. But just in case if they have more than 50% funding coming from outside, they will be eligible to be registered on the platform. That is one thing. But at the same time, NPO, having all those three eligibility criteria fulfilling, but at the same time, if they are getting, as a part of their funding, more than 50% from one donor, in that case, they will not be eligible. So that is one thing here. And there are certain challenges coming up in case of certain, educational institutions, or you can say that colleges or schools and hospitals, right? So they are completing all the criteria, but when it comes to putting that 67% criteria, proving that and proving their social intent, I mean, that becomes a bit tricky because many of schools and colleges, they are charging fees for providing education. So in that case, they may be ineligible. So that is one thing I wanted to add. Same with the hospitals also. because they are feeling that the kind of organization nature of organization. At the same time, they may be serving different unprivileged population, but they're charging fee, and it's very difficult to differentiate that unprivileged or social intent that time. So in that case, obviously they will be given those queries and will be requested to clarify all those doubts, but they may be ineligible in that case. Yeah, so that is what I wanted to add here in this slide. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying about corporate foundations as well as this 67%, because it is the very important point in the conditions. It is that only quantum of social work. Yeah. Moving onwards, this is the list of eligible activities for demonstrating primacy of social impact. So this all are the list of activities. If the NPO or FP is involved in the eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and inequality, promoting healthcare, including mental health care, sanitation, and making available safe drinking water, promoting education, employability, and livelihoods, promoting gender equality, empowerment of women and LGBTQIA plus communities, ensuring environmental sustainability, addressing climate change, including mitigation and adaptation, forest and wildlife conservation, promotion of protection of national heritage, art and culture, training to promote rural sports, nationally recognized sports, Paralympic sports and Olympic sports, supporting incubators of social enterprises. So basically, these are the list of activities which is derived from, if I'm not wrong, Schedule 7 and Sustainable Development Goals, right? So another is supporting other platforms that strengthen the non-profit ecosystem in fundraising and capacity building, promoting livelihood for rural and urban poor, including enhancing income of small and marginal farmers and workers in the non-farm sector, slum area development, affordable housing, and other intervention to build sustainable and resilient cities, disaster management, then promotion of financial inclusion, facilitating access to land and property asset for disadvantaged communities, bridging the digital divide in internet and mobile phone access, addressing issue of misinformation and data protection, promoting welfare of migrants and displaced persons. Any other areas identified by the government or the board from time to time. So these are the list of activities to get eligible and with the primacy of social impact.
On the eligibility criteria, someone is actually asking a question. What if a religious trust having a project of building an animal hospital, having a capital expenditure of 100 crores, and more it will be eligible, a list in the SSC or not?
So as of now, it's not eligible, but what happens that in case of different religious organizations, they also have different trusts, which is not promoting religion. So through that trust, they can raise fund. As long as it is not religious organization, I mean, they can go for that because they are the ones, if we see the practical aspects, they have a lot of followers. So probably they can raise funding through that retail, their retail base, and those people can donate that 10,000 rupees. But certainly that organization should not promote religion. I mean, there's so many organizations. Yeah.
I think you put a follow-up question. I think you are answering that question also here. Because it says it assigned a separate trust, which is not a religious organization. Can it register themselves? I think you are addressing that.
They can do that. They can do that. This is what I mean. They can do that because what we find is when we got into that many religious organizations, they have their separate trust, right? And what they do is they are working in the development, for development projects. They are raising a lot of funding through CSR. They are raising a lot of fund through donations, right? So their retail base. So this social stock exchange can create a kind of big corpus for them. They can club all of them together. They can come up with a big project. And for all those donors and people, it will have one due diligence. There will be one, impact assessment. So it will be good for the donors. They will be able to see bigger impact. It will be good for that NPO also, so that they can bring one project. There will be very less operational hassles than they will be in the field and implementing the project.
If I may just ask one question related.
Yes, please.
Like you will get ATG, right? If you contribute directly to an NGO.
Yes, yes. ATG is live
that?
now. Yeah, ATG is live now. So 50%, that benefit can be received through ATG. And our last fundraising by Swadesh Foundation, they were able to mobilize 70 retail donors and 54 non-institutional donors. They didn't go for the institutional donor, and they have already issued their ATG certificate for them, and they will be receiving 50% benefit
Excellent.
out of that. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Sir, we would like to take any further questions.
I think there is one more question. Yeah. I don't know which question
The
was
corpus
that.
issue is there, I think, which we were discussing yesterday.
Go into the corpus necessarily.
No, it
Yeah,
is.
so
No,
yes.
somebody has put up a question. Is the money raised in SSI need to go into the corpus necessarily?
No, so there is a method that we will talk about, that how one project raises fund, and there are different intermediaries where one and that is in project corpus only. So still the question is not so clear. If you can explain the question a bit further, that will be better for us to respond.
Okay, I think the person can put up.
Yeah, maybe in the meantime, Kaushal, you can just say that these are for activities, specific, identifiable goals and achievements. As such, it cannot just go into a corpus, which doesn't have an outcome.
So we will talk about one thing when we will talk about ZCZP in detail. Then we will see that what are the features of that, and and that will clarify all these questions for sure. There are certain questions which will be a part of our dialogues and discussions. So maybe we can take these questions a little later, once this presentation is done at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let us complete the presentation, then we'll go.
Yes. That would be better. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Probably in the meantime, many things will get answered automatically. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So let's look at the eligibility criteria for registration. So first we have checked whether you are eligible to get registered or not. Now we will check what are the checklist and what are the document requirement to get registered on social stock exchange platform. So once the primary of social intent requirements have been met, further below are the eligibility criteria. We can see a list of documents as per the regulation 292F of ICDR regulations. Entities must be registered as a trust or society or Section 8 company under the respective act, and that certificate should be valid for further period of 12 months at the time of your seeking the registration. Governing document of the NPO seeking the registration, so that can be your, if you are Section 8 company, then your MON and AOA. If you are trust, then your trust deed, bylaws or constitution, as the case may be. Registration certificate under section 12A, 12AA, 12AB, 1023C and 1046 of the Income Tax Act 1961. The registration certificate should be again valid for the next 12 months from the date of application. Does not have a notice or ongoing any scrutiny by the income tax. NPO should also have valid ATG registration under the Income Tax Act. They should have a track record of 3 years, valid IT PAN, and also eligible to be social enterprise. As we have seen the definition of social enterprise, so they should meet that criteria to recognize as or identified as a social enterprise as per the ICDR regulations. So these are the basic, requirement. Once you are clear that, okay, you're eligible, your NPO is eligible to get registered, then these are the documentation requirement. Then also it's very important that your annual spending in the past financial year must be at least rupees 50 lakhs. And funding in the past financial year, that's a receipt from your audited accounts or fund flow statement, must be at least rupees 10 lakhs. So this all are the requirement to get registered with. And then we will understand now what is the process, how, once you are registered, what are the instruments available from which you can raise the fund from social stock exchange. So as we have seen, there is NPO and there is for-profit enterprises, social enterprises. So for NPO registration guidelines, NPO can raise funds through a zero coupon, zero principal, social impact fund, equity and debt. And if we look at the for-profit social enterprise, because they are already listed, so they can raise the fund through equity and debt or social impact fund or development impact bonds. For FP, as they are already listed, no registration required separately, to raise the funds. And they can list their securities on the appropriate existing stock exchanges. Debt securities may be listed on the main board. Equity securities may be listed on the main board or the SME platform or investor growth platform. Yeah. Kaushal sir, we can, talk about the instrument over here.
Yeah, sure. So right now, the only instrument which is there is zero coupon, zero principal. So when we talk about some of the features of ZCZP, it is right now for NPOs only, for not for profit enterprises. And then, as we were talking about the corpus, I mean, whenever we are going to raise fund through zero coupon, zero principal, the intent should be clearly defined, and it should be among, all those 17 goals that we are talking about, right? Which is aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. And a specific project or activity falling under all those eligible activities are only, applicable there. I would suggest one more thing to everybody, right? So uh, all the projects till now listed and in the pipeline for public comments, or they are available on our website. So when you go on NSE website, you can see SSC tab. I mean, you can go to Social Stock Exchange. You can get all the checklist, all the documents, all the frequently asked questions. And same time, you must go through those fundraising documents. That will give a lot of idea that how those documents are created. At the same time, those project details, right? What are those projects? I mean, what are their objectives, their scope, what they are going to target to? So that will give you overall idea that I mean, these all projects are under those sustainable development goals. And if we ask anybody, I mean, those 17 goals are so robust. And if you go to their subcategories, um, almost no such social causes are left out. It's all about, like, how you take that, how you actually connect through different causes. Like, I mean, one project can be related to health, education, that is also, like, promoting equality and all those things. So, I mean, that is how, like, we create a kind of that intent, social intent, and all those things. So right now it's zero coupon, zero principal, and there was one question around trading. So this is the complete donation. ZCZP is an instrument which, attracts donation. So it's not available for trading in secondary market, and it cannot be transferred also. So this name has come up like zero principal and zero coupon. So there won't be any, like, return on that, and it's all donation. And it's only can be issued by NPOs, which is registered on the Social Stock Exchange platform. When it comes to, like, other instrument, right, which is written here, so it's a part of the document, and the idea behind talking about zero coupon, zero principal only as of now is the idea was to come up with one instrument, take it, like, to next level, make it successful, and then simultaneously discussing about other things. And for information, like, when it comes to different funding models, like, this development impact bond or social impact funds and all those things. So there are already discussions going on, and the working group is regularly discussing about all these things. The first draft has already been circulated among the working group members, and most likely we'll be able to see some different model on outcome-based funding very soon. And that will again, like, in addition to ZCZP, it has all the powers to change the entire, social, funding landscape. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So can we move onwards?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So as we have Kaushik sir has spoken about the ZCSP. So now let's just understand that in much detail, because that is the only instrument available right now to raise the fund. So as per ICDR regulation, non-profit organization may raise fund on a social stock exchange through ZP, that is zero coupon, zero principal instrument, and also there are donations through mutual fund scheme and any other means is specified by SEBI from time to time. So basically zero coupon, zero principles, that is ZP instrument. As per ICDR regulation, this instrument shall be issued only by non-profit organization which is registered on a social stock exchange, and it should have a specific tenure. This instrument shall be issued without any coupon, and no principal amount shall be paid on its maturity. So there are no returns. The not-for-profit organization may issue this ZP instrument only for a specific project or activity, and it is to be completed within a duration specified in the fundraising document. Okay, so it is specifically for a project or activity. This instrument will be for an NGO. So let's say that NPO is having multiple projects for which they want to raise the funding. So there will be a different ZCSP instrument for each of the project. An NPO shall need to show expertise in the targeted areas through social performance of past project, which in turn allow investors to gain a greater insight into NPO's activities. As per ICDR regulations, NPO shall issue this instrument to public through a public issue or a social impact fund registered under SEBI AIF regulations through a private issue. So as Kaushik sir has mentioned that the social impact fund is under discussion. So currently we have the instrument zero coupon, zero principal to raise the fund. As we have spoken about the earlier also at a very introduction, level, we have spoken that at the start of this webinar about the minimum issue size. Earlier it was rupees 1 crore, and now it is rupees 50 lakhs. Minimum application size now is rupees 10,000. Minimum subscription is 75% of the funds proposed to be raised through issuance of ZP instrument. Kaushik sir, if you can just speak, on minimum subscription, that is a 75%, criteria is there.
Yeah, so basically, when one issue opens, it has to be subscribed to up to 75%. If it is lesser than that, then it will go back to the donors. And what happens that, just like for other fundraising also, what happens that once one NPO gets that in principle approval, and before that also they pitch their project to different donors. And before opening the issue, because when one issue opens, there is a very limited timeline of that, issue. I mean, for how many days the issue will be open. It's 3 days minimum, up to 10 days, and then further extension to 10 more days. So during those days only, it has to be subscribed at least 75% of the overall amount. And then only it will be called successful, and then only it will be listed on the platform. Right. So what happens in this case? Till now, 10 NPOs they have raised funds, and no fundraising have failed, so that's why it has failed, because they have already done their different sort of, you can call it business development or speaking with your donors, getting their approval and getting their assurance that they are going to contribute to your issue. And most of the NPOs, what they have done is they have ensured that they have 82, 85, 90% funding. Many NPOs have got their, funding beforehand only 100%. And that is how they have raised fund. So the chances of failing here is very less, because after in principle approval, one NPO gets 6 months validity,
Okay.
which is quite good, because even if you are raising fund on other platform, it takes few months for you to do some sort of pitching to different CSR funding, pitching to different projects. Even if you write some proposal or respond to different RFPs, it takes some time, right? It takes some time for evaluation, bidding, and all those things. So this is how, like, 6 months is relatively very good time. Within 6 months, whenever you feel that you're comfortable having more than 75% of assurance by different donors, you can open the issue and you can close that. And there can be one more question that, say, for example, I want to raise 1 CR and I got only 80 lakhs rupees. And I had to close the issue because I could not find further donors. So do I need to implement all the project in that 80 lakhs only? The answer is, like, you have that flexibility to moderate your outcome indicators or impact indicators, whatever you call. Say, for example, if you want to train certain numbers, so certainly you can, decrease that number because you have raised 80% only. So accordingly, you can have that modulation in your outcomes. So this is what about this 75%. And nothing to worry about it, because there is a 6 month time to talk to donors. Certainly, when you have in principle approval, when you're registered on social stock exchange, that gives you a kind of, like, that icebreaker, and talking to donors saying that, see, this is in principally approved by exchanges. So it gives you further, credibility of showcasing and pitching your project to different donors.
Okay.
Question,
Yeah.
if I may
Yes.
ask a question.
Yeah, please.
Is it an eligible CSR activity to contribute to?
So CSR is not, as of now, it's not applicable, I mean, eligible right now, but there are different discussions already going on, and we may see it very soon. Not 100% for sure, but just in case, even if it comes like 5% through social stock exchange, it will be a big corpus,
Right.
right? So yeah, it's already in discussion, and the moment CSR gets approved to come through social stock exchange, probably that will be game changer for this platform. Yeah.
He has put up a question. I don't know what is in his mind. The very purpose of registration of the company and listing a project is to come limelight of the public and secure funds from the donors. Then what is the role of the RTA in this process?
Yeah, so RTA's role is, see, anyways, this is the kind of part of capital market, right? And we have to ensure the way, like, the funds are raised, or investments are raised through main board and SME. All these intermediaries are very much required, and especially in terms of social stock exchange. I mean, NPOs are not so much acquainted with all the processes and everything. So where RTA actually ensures that all those other intermediaries are, in place. They are the ones who will guide through opening the escrow account and all those things. So it's similar to SME and main board. Obviously, it's a kind of bit scaled down due diligence for sure, but somehow, like, these intermediaries are very necessary. And anyways, at the end, like, it's all framework is designed by SEBI, right? And certain good practices and best practices are there, which is helping the entire ecosystem to raise fund. Here, it will raise fund for projects. So that is how, like, RTAs, and same time different depositories are required in SDL and CDSL. So that's why it's a very much, like, as per a part of mandate, it's needed.
There is a
Yeah.
career-related question has been put. How the company secretary can get involved in the professional capacity? Can a CS act as a social auditor? If so, what are the requirements of complied by him? I think, Dali, you are going to address the social audit,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
examination which are required, etc.
Yes,
in the
yes.
future.
So there is an
And
Yeah,
at the end of the presentation, we will ensure
yeah,
that all the
we'll have
questions
that.
are
Yeah,
answered, even if
yeah,
we, bit it's beyond time, but we will address all the questions. And at the same time, you will have our email IDs and contact number to
Def-
get in touch with
definitely,
us, just in case if you'll have more question in future. Yeah,
definitely, CS can be a social auditor. There's no
yeah, yeah.
questions. Okay, that is positive thing. Wait for the presentation. She is addressing this. Yeah,
Yeah, I would also like to add to that question. Wait.
yeah,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
sure. Sure.
yeah.
So
Go ahead,
talking
sir.
about
Go ahead, Dali.
registration, it will be valid for a year, right? Then that NPO has to do the renewal after a year,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. That registration validity is 1 year, and
Yeah.
it's a very minimal disclosure. We have one form that you have to fill and ensure that all the things are in place, and then it will be
Yes.
renewed. Yeah, yeah.
So far we have understood about the eligibility, then how to get registered and that thing. So now let's understand about the disclosure requirements, because that NPO or FP is you're getting listed on the social stock exchange. So there must be some disclosure requirement in terms of you're disclosing to all the stakeholders, especially to the donors, that what you're doing with that funding, right? So for registration, the NPO which is registered, they have to uh, show their vision, strategy, governance, management, operations, target segment, finance, compliance, creditability, social impact, and risk. Because the NPO is not listed yet, so it's not applicable to them. And for FP, the LODR regulations they have to compliance with. Then talking about the annual compliances. So again, NPO which is registered, they have to submit their governance, organizational and guidelines within 60 days of governance, organizational and financial disclosures as per the guidelines within 60 days of the financial year end. This is also for the NPO listed. They have to submit their all that documentation within the 60 days of the financial year end. And for FP, again, the SEBI LODR is applicable. Again, the quarterly, there are some compliances which should be followed by the NPO which are listed. Statement in respect of the utilization of the funds raised within 45 days of the quarter end. Then there are several disclosures which will get triggered on an event based. So for NPO registered, any event having a material impact on the functioning of the organization. So within 7 days, they have to intimate the board and this respected social stock exchanges. And for the NPO listed and FP listed, any event that may have a material impact on the planned achievements of output or outcomes and steps being taken by the social enterprises to address the same, they have to intimate the respected stock exchanges within 7 days from the occurrence of such event. Then there is a report about the annual impact report, audited annual impact report covering strategic intent and planning, approach, and impact scorecard. Within 90 days, they have to submit to the from the financial year end. They have to submit to the board and the PSE and NSE social stock exchanges. So these are the disclosure requirements once they get registered and thereafter once they get listed.
Dali, somebody is actually putting a question.
Yeah.
Are there audits of these projects spending? If the projects are not completed within the timeline, is there any penal provisions or extensions or time, etc., and other things?
So as of now, there is no panel penalty as such. But at the same time, when you are giving that quarterly disclosure, you are putting that how much money is spent, how much numbers you have achieved, whatever you have mentioned in your fundraising document, the final proposal. But one biggest repercussion of that is it is seen by everybody, right? It's in public domain. So if it is not delivered, certainly the credibility will be at stake. So when the NPO comes for the next round of project listing or fundraising, uh, people won't trust them, right, for their next project. So that's where that is the big, kind of, the result they will face, that maybe like their entire credibility is at stake. Certainly, there are certain reasons where one NPO may not be able to, right, achieve their targets due to certain unforeseen reasons. That is where like they will have to explain that to us, and they will have to share all those, that event base that is there. If you can see here, that any event having a material impact on the functioning of the organization or project also, if there's something happens that way, you have to keep us posted and we will look into that. So it may rarely happen, but certainly it's a good question. If an NPO is not able to achieve their target or their outcomes, in that case, credibility is the biggest thing that can get affected. So that's one. Till now, there is no penalty as such.
So basically,
Somebody is
if there's
putting,
a lack of transparency, then there will be an issue for the NPO.
Yeah, that can be like, obviously, the impact assessment report will also share a lot of like, insights.
Yeah.
somebody is saying, as of now, the only social enterprises, so there is, as of now, it is only for the social satisfaction. And there are no many institutions or HNI who are actually contributing without these benefits. So they are actually concerned about their money is utilized for the particular cause.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are, I mean, if we see the basic reason behind why CSR was not allowed or ATG was not allowed was creating a kind of parallel platform. So if you already have a kind of platform established, you will not like to create one parallel platform and getting money from the same source. That way, it will not fill that deficit, but it will only create one more platform, right? So it won't bring additional funding for filling that gap of developmental causes required for the that achieving those SDGs. So that is why CSR was not allowed. Gradually, like discussions are happening if some percentage can be piloted through social stock exchange, just to see that which platform can be more effective, right, in terms of the streamlining all those because we know that for CSR also there are a lot of compliances, lot of different things that you have to audits happen. So we have to see that which platform can be more effective, and that will create better outcomes of different projects. So that is why like that may come, but this was the basic reason, not to bring money through the established platform and inventing a new source of funding, where this retail thing came in place, where you and I were not included for that, right? HNIs were not so well included there. And if one HNI or like one philanthropist is putting money in some projects separate, and they are also coming up with some separate forms and disclosures and due diligence templates. So if multiple can come, it can create a big project. And at the same time, like there will be a common due diligence, there will be a common reporting also. So this is how like this can solve the problem of NPO, where they have limited capacity and they have limited bandwidth also. Most of the times they are in field, many a times they are in their office taking care of all those auditors. So say for example, there's 5 funders and 5 people are with their auditors. It's very difficult to go into the field and implement the actual project. But just imagine that social stock exchange brings all those funders in one project. There will be one audit only. So it will actually like give more time, save more time and cost for an NPO to actually deliver the project rather than getting into the compliances. Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry, half of that was not related to this question though.
No, but it was much insightful to understand about what can be the advantages, once they are getting registered. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So moving onwards, let's understand about the social impact assessment. So earlier the terminology was social audit. Now it is impact assessment. Is a systematic evaluation of an organization's social, ethical, cultural, and environmental performance. The social impact assessment audit framework developed by ICAI, CA Institute, provides a social impact assessor guidance to conduct the assessment. And who will be, doing that social audit? So the social auditors in India are now known as a social impact assessors. As per regulations, ICDR regulations, a social impact assessor means an individual registered with the self-regulatory organizations under the CA Institute, CS Institute, and also ICMI. And also they have qualified the certification program conducted by the National Institute of Securities Market. And if they are holding that certificate, they are eligible to get recognized as a social impact assessor. All social impact assessors will have to be registered with an SRO under the Institute of Social Auditors of India or such any other agency as may be specified by the SEBI. The SRO is named as Institute of Social Auditors of India, a not-profit making organization, and registered as a Section 8 company under the Companies Act 2013. Now, who can be a social impact assessors? As just now we have seen in the previous slide as well, chartered accountants or company secretary or cost and management accountant or postgraduates from universities recognized by the University Grants Commission with a minimum 3 years of experience in the development sector, or graduate from universities recognized by the UGC with a minimum 6 years of experience in the development sector, or any other person with a suitable accreditations with a minimum 6 years of experience in the development sector can be a social impact assessor.
But whatever it is, ultimately they'll have to get through this examination, correct?
Yes. The NISM exam certification, that is a must requirement.
Yeah, that is a must.
Yeah.
That is a prerequisite.
Yeah, in addition to their CACS or cost accountant and coming the several experience as mentioned here, coming from the development sector. Yeah.
Can I weigh in here or shall we wait for the Q&A?
No, you can,
Yes.
please.
Okay. Just to share that, I went through this examination process. I am from the development sector, not a CA or CS. And what the curriculum, it took me about 10 days to prepare, also because I'm a little senior, not used to study. It has other half is about the development sector. What are sustainable development goals? What is impact? What is evaluation? So for non-CSCS people, that part you will need to prepare more. For a person like me, for me, that is what I know. But I had to, concentrate on the other part. Both parts, were important. But I would request, since this is I think people from both sectors need to get into this. But I would request people from CACS background to really, if you want to do a social audit or a social impact assessment, it's very important to understand what is the non-profit world. So one thing is ticking the box by passing the examination, which will not be difficult for you people. But, go and volunteer at an NGO, get involved even for a short time to really understand their reality. Otherwise, the audit process will be very mechanical. It will not really go to the depth of either are we helping the NGO to meet their challenges, or is impact really being made in the field? We will not be able to understand unless we have been through a small experience. So this is my request. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, Dali, go ahead.
Yes. So we will now take up some FAQs. So there are NPOs that is not registered on NPO, NGO Darpan portal. Can they register on Social Stock Exchange? So the answer is no. NGO Darpan portal registration is mandatory to get on SSE platform. If any corporate is promoting one NPO through formation of formal organization and they want to register the NPO on SSE, is it permitted? if majority, that is more than 50% of the funding for the NPO is coming from the state corporate, or the corporate has a controlling interest in the NPO, then it is not allowed. I think this is covered by Mr. Kaushal during when we are discussing about ineligible
Yeah.
organizations.
Ineligibility and corporate
Corporate,
foundation, when it was
yeah.
there, he addressed this. Yeah.
Yes. Are for-profit organizations eligible to issue ZCSP instrument for raising funds? So answer is no, as we have seen, in the previous slides. Can a social enterprise terminate the listing of zero coupon, zero principal instrument from social stock exchange? So the answer is, if there are following events like the object for which the fund were raised has been achieved, and a certificate to this effect has been submitted to the social stock exchanges, or the tenure to achieve the object for which the fund were raised as provided in the fund raising document has expired, in both these cases they can terminate this instrument. And the last question is whether retail investors can invest in securities issued by social enterprises. Answer is they are permitted to invest only in securities offered by for-profit social enterprises under the main board. In all other cases, only institutional investors and non-institutional investors can invest in securities issued by the social enterprises.
No, here actually the moment it was down to 10,000 rupees, so
Okay.
then retail investors or donors are permitted for ZCZP also. Yeah. So when we talk about, I mean, I just want to add the kind of donors under social stock exchange. So there are three kinds of donors that ZCZP or social stock exchange talks about. One is retail donation, and that comes from 10,000 to 2 lakhs rupees. The moment it goes beyond 2 lakhs rupees, it becomes non-institutional donation, or that is done by mostly HNIs. It can be any number beyond 2 lakhs. And then one is institutional donor. So institutional donor, which is, donated or funded by different institution, but not under their CSR activities, CSR corpus. So till now, we have certain donors like Zerodha is one, A.T. Chandra Foundation, then Edelgive is one, then Dixon Technologies. So these all donors are institutional donor. At the same time, like, donor, this NABARD and SIDBI also have funded certain projects. So these are institutional donors. Same time, when you talk about non-institutional donors, so in that case, the people who have donated more than 2 lakhs. So few of the donors in our last listing were Vidya Balan, Abhishek Bachchan, and all those celebrities as well. And you and I can be retail donors. So these are the three donor base that one NPO can tap while raising their fund on social stock exchange platform. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So we can take up some, questions now.
Before we take up the question, quickly, I would like to add some more things here. One is like when you go for registration and see that if do we have any platform where you can go and start your registration. So for NSE SSC, there is a portal called NEAPS, NEAPS, where one NPO can start their registration process. They can sign up there, they will get the ID and password in 1 to 2 days. And then they can start working on their documents and they can upload their document there for the further processing. At the same time, there are certain templates they have to follow and all those things. Certain things are already there as a part of our detailing on the website, where you will find certain annexures that you have to fill, that you have to certify and do all those things for better reference, because as an exchange, we cannot, disclose those documents. But if you are aware about Unnati Foundation, they were the first one to list their project. So they have done one good thing, great thing, I would say, that they have put all those documents on their website from registration to listing. So you can have a good, reference, website where you can see all the documents, you can download that, you can see that what they have done. Certainly you can do it better if you like to, but that will give a lot of reference that how it is done. So you can take the reference from there. In addition to that, we are already always a call away, an email away, just in case if you have any question, just in case you need any sort of hand holding or you need any troubleshooting, just in case, like, you are not able to operate our NEEPS portal, not able to log into that, or facing any sort of, technical or technological issue. So that is one thing. When it comes to listing part, so when registration is done, then NPO can raise fund through on the platform. So for that part, one NPO has to work on the draft fundraising document. So
Dani, I
for
think
that,
you can close the presentation. You can
yeah.
stop sharing the screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. So draft fundraising document, like it's a kind of like 100 pages or more than that. And we have enough samples for you on our website because there is already 10 final draft fundraising document which has got in principle approval. Then eight are in pipeline. So you can see multiple of such fundraising document available for reference. You can go through that for sure. And you can study that just in case if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. In between, like we have seen one more thing, like when it comes to working dedicatedly on that document, many of NPOs have somewhere it's a capacity issue because it's happening for the first time. There's a lot of financial disclosure where they find a bit challenging, right? Because till now it was not in place. So it was different mechanism of fundraising. Here a lot of financial disclosure is there. And we also understand that, I mean, as an exchange, we cannot share their contact details, but there are certain advisors. If you see on the fundraising document, you can find their names and contact details. So just in case if you have further question, you can seek the help of those advisors. So that can be one choice of your conscious choice because that person will be dedicated for building that fundraising document because there is not just capacity but bandwidth issue also. Most of the people in NPOs are always running here and there to implement the project. So that is one thing. And third thing is like, uh, one thing we have realized in NSE, because when we talk about just providing a platform where NPOs will come and do fundraising, they will bring their own donors. So what is I mean, how we can accelerate the process, help NPOs. At the same time, we will help those donors also to find the right NPOs. So that is where we realize the need of some intervention where capacity needs to be built further for NPOs. One reason is NPOs are very good talking about their cause and the projects they are working on. But when it comes to presenting their project in a very crisp way, in a very timed way to different donors, I mean that mind mapping is a bit missing. So we talk to different ecosystem players, stakeholders like donors and all. We developed one template also that we share with NPOs, especially who are registered on our platform. And we request them to fill all the details there because that template also creates a lot of clarity, comes up with clarity for NPO that what kind of project they want to raise fund for, what would be their real indicators and outcomes, and kind of further impact can be created. So that gives them a kind of understanding and clarity that about the project, and that helps them also when they are going to present their project to different donors. Further, what we did was we have been doing several seminars. So we invite our registered NPOs to come up with their pitch in that template, in some presentation template. And I tell you that out of 60, 70, we invite more than 25, 30 people come up with their pitch document to raise funds for. So we have one internal team. They unbiasedly, they go through all those proposals and they find some good proposals. They invite 10 to 12 proposals. I mean, NPOs, they ask for presentation. And based on all those, what is it called, assessment and metrics, what we do is we invite 4 to 5 NPOs in our seminar to come on the stage and present their project. So they become aspirational for other NPOs. They also come up with a lot of clarity because we give them handholding to design those projects. And that is how they come also in the vision of different donors who are a part of that event. And certainly, those we create those videos, we create pictures, and that gives them other visibility. So that is one part from demand side where like NPOs come in place. So we are trying to help them, design their projects and coming in front and talking about their project. Second part is the donor side. So we also realize that, I mean, you have to create certain panel of donors and cohort of donors. And obviously, NPOs will come when they will have visibility of finding donors. So we are in talk with several philanthropists, different institutions, that how they can help those NPOs because they have already been doing that. So for them also, it will be easier because they will find certain NPOs supporting their aligned causes uh, available on social stock exchange. Certainly, we cannot tell that these donors will give those NPOs money, but what we do is informally we connect them. That yeah, so you can talk to these donors, and we also brief donors that these NPOs are in the process of raising funds for this cause. This is their project. When their project goes for public comments, we share the proposal with them, the proposal link, that DFRD link with them, so that they can also comment on those proposals. So we're trying to minimize that gap. We are trying to create just not NPOs on the platform, but at the same time, those donors are also watching those NPOs. So if we see those 10 NPOs raising funds, it's more than project and fund. It has given them visibility also, because this social stock exchange also comes with novelty happening for the first time and well supported by government and exchanges. So they get a lot of opportunity to meet the best people from industry. So even if their project does not get funded, and if they raise fund through other mechanism, the moment they will come for their different project, they will have one success case that, see, first project we have implemented, this is our impact assessment report, and we are coming up with for the second project. Those donors, even if they have not supported that project, they will appreciate that, the first project, right? And the likelihood goes up to get that funding. So there's a lot of other credibility advantage also. There is a lot of visibility. There is a lot of PR that they can do around this. They can write a lot of news pieces or something like that. So there's so many other indirect benefits also for being on the social stock exchange. And as a part of like NSE, SSC, we are trying to make it more easier for them to understand the entire ecosystem. When I joined NSE, I have been like typically a social sector professional. I worked for-profit organizations, worked on different projects for DFID, ADB, World Bank, and state and central governments, different foundations like Children's Investment Fund Foundation. So we are trying to bring those best practices at the same time learning that capital market as well. So that is how we have to learn. It's a kind of co-learning for both exchanges at the same time for NPOs also. So I remember there was a question during the first listing event, and there was a question that, what do you think that where do NPOs need to have their capacity building? And the answer, beautiful answer given by Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, who is the chairperson of SEBI's advisory committee. He said, why do you think that only NPOs need to learn certain things, or they need capacity building? It's both ways. Exchanges need to learn social sector, and social sector needs to learn exchanges. Rightly said by Meena ma'am that you can be, as a CS and CA professional, you can pass the exam, but getting into the nerves of that developmental cause, and how you come up with just not quantitative assessment, but also the qualitative evaluation and qualitative analytics around that. So it's a big world of evaluation, right? It needs a lot of approach, methodology tools, designing and all those things, so that you can bring up the maximum side of evaluation and ensure that no blind spots are there while evaluating the project. It needs a lot of like just not a study and passing the exam, but also becoming a part of some project. And it will give you different kind of tangent of experience also once you will look through that angle. So this is one thing. One more thing, so if you feel that, we have, so we are anyways like it's 12:40, but registration is the first step for sure. And even if you do not understand certain things at times, do not worry about it because we're trying our best to, help people, handhold people. There are certain things where, until and unless we don't talk, don't have a call for 1 hour, it gets stuck. So what we can have is like first step is registration. You start with that. We are all there to help you, support you. And same time, when we talk about the listing part, I mean, there are certain steps for listing. One is certainly designing that document. Quickly, I will cover this up. The documents goes for public comments for 21 days, where you receive comments, then for few days for incorporating those comments. In between, you will appoint all those intermediaries also that we talked about, RTAs and CDSL, NSDL, all these people. Then what you do is our team goes through your proposal. They question you just like they send their queries during registration. And the moment it's satisfactory, both document wise or project design wise, NPO gets that in principle approval. So with that in principle approval, they can approach different donors. They can start approaching them beforehand also. But that approval will give them further credibility to pitch their project to donors. The moment they realize that they have more than 80% or 75% and they're comfortable in raising 75% at least, our target is to get all the assurance, 100% assurance from different donors. They can open the issue and they can close the issue. Then once and that money goes to one escrow account. The moment this fundraising is successful, the listing is done, that money will get transferred to the project account. And then all those disclosures part come in place. You start with the project, right? The project will have its own timeline. So certainly, in 2 hours, we cannot discuss everything, but you may have some food for thought that where to start from and what are certain, different nuances of social stock exchange. So I think this is a good basics that we are trying to set up here. And if you have any questions, you can anytime come back to us with your questions. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
please.
now we will take up the questions, whatever is
Yes,
there in
yes,
the chat
please,
box,
please.
so that we'll do. Can you please, what is that here? Can you please repeat the name of the first registration enterprises? Somebody is asking, I missed it.
So first registered enterprise. First listing was done by Unnati Foundation.
Yeah.
And first registration was done by Gramalya.
Okay. Can you know those listed representation, the project which are listed at the NSC and the SSC?
It's all on our website. You can see all those names there, how much they have raised, what document, their final fundraising document also you can see, you can study through. So it's all available on our website.
How do you work with the grassroots of NGO?
So see, what happened that after first awareness event in Bangalore and then second was in Delhi. So we realized that there are so many grassroots level NPOs and they also need the understanding of social stock exchange. So third, we decided to go to Varanasi. And before that, we did 3 satellite workshops. First was in Lucknow, then followed by Patna and Ranchi. And across all these 3+1 events, we were able to reach out to more than 300 unique NPOs. Certainly, many were ineligible, especially when it comes to that 50 lakhs of project delivery that we talk about. But there are so many. I mean, it's certainly a spreaded word. And meanwhile, what we do is there are certain webinars we conduct. This is also one of them, and somehow I'm sure that there will be so many grassroots level NPOs here as well. So gradually, it's like going a bit ahead, and same time now we are working on certain digital outreach and communication strategy through which we will try to reach out to the maximum NPOs, especially grassroots level as well. in tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
Just an
We are
idea,
trying.
Kaushal, if I may
Yeah,
intervene.
please.
Previously, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Education, they used to have a concept of NGOs, major NGOs, for instance, who've already got SSC this
Mhm.
thing. Can we give them a responsibility that they must reach X number of NGOs and even fund them for it, do workshops in the remote areas around their,
That's a great idea. In fact, we are doing it, but not that actively for sure. But this is a great idea we can implement. And some of the NPOs, they themselves are like, it's not that we have to ask them to do it, but they are doing it already. And there are certain NGO aggregators also.
Yes.
Few names I would like to take. One is like United Way of Hyderabad, right? Or United Way different chapters. They are able to like, reaching out to their NPOs whenever we are doing some events. They are asking them to be a part of that, and those people are coming, and those people are also like starting their application process. So that is one thing. Second, for registered and listed NPOs also, they are bringing different NPOs working with them or known to them, because somehow the entire SSC is not about competing with different NPOs, but it also promotes a lot of collaboration, right? And that is how, like, they can come up with unique donors, and they are collaborating for sure. So it's happening, but certainly we can create a kind of systematic, plan
Yeah.
of how we can do it.
Structure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the idea.
We are trying to register an NGO and promote, and the promoter has got the DIN number. We had the PAN also as well. And she has been the housewife all through the life and not taken any loan and not taken anything, any company, etc. But just based on the similar name search, SSC is keeping the questioning regarding the default by a person with a similar name, which has actually happened. These are all the basic things which I guess SSC should definitely resolve. This thing discourages even the professional to be promoting the registration with the SSC. You might have to set up the internal control processes, I suppose.
Yeah, so our compliance team is quite effective and efficient. They ask all the questions, and they need all the satisfactory answers. Whereas what we can do is, I have already responded to that query saying that you can reach out to me on Monday. We can have a
Yeah.
call and we
Uh,
can resolve that immediately.
yeah,
Yeah, we will see that what
see
can be
that.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. Then the next question is coming. Is the money raised to the SST corporate that I think you addressed actually.
Yeah.
Also, there is an hospital in the Sion, Mumbai. They wanted to the privilege. This also you answered, I think, creating a separate non-profit trust that you said actually. What is the time horizon that the experts on the panel have in mind in the social stock exchange to rectify some of the life in India?
See, it's a very difficult question to answer, to be honest, and gradually it's evolving. We started from a sentence that SSC is still in nascent stage, right? And it will take some time to evolve. Certainly, the initial progress is very much encouraging, and the way it is going, certainly it has all the potential to become one of the prominent platforms to raise funds for social projects. But certainly timeline, we can't come up with timeline for sure, but maybe
Only God
like,
can come up with a timeline for that.
yeah, but my personal, like, wish, if you ask me, that within 5 years, there should be like hundreds of projects listed on this platform. And technology also supports that. Even the compliance and all those things also, supports that in a way that most of the things gets automated. Automated as in like, something which needs less time and become more effective. Right. So many things can be done. And certainly, if we see last 1 year, there's so many changes and modifications that we have seen, that especially that 1 CR to 50 lakhs, that 2 lakhs to 10,000 rupees. Then this Swadesh Foundation is coming up with such huge number of retail and non-institutional donors. And one more thing that we have is the e-IPO through 3-in-1 brokers. So the way like you invest in IPOs, same way one person who has a demat account, they can actually contribute to one open issue. I mean, through their account. I mean, the way like you use your demat account or ICICI account or these things. So EIPO enables that, and if you see the last fundraising, so this was able to mobilize almost 25 lakhs through 28 donors or investors through EIPO. So that is one big hope and big way of bringing all those donations through. I mean, especially from retail donors. Like I don't need to submit a check. I can, the way like I buy shares, I can donate through my that account only, that demat account. So that is one thing, and like certainly for reaching out to not just NPOs. That one question was related to grassroots level NPOs, but for donors also. If you see that we have more than 10.5 crore different investors, they are trading, right? They are basically they are on NSE, with NSE, basically different PAN cards, PAN accounts. So maybe like in filtered way, we can reach out to them also, and they are actually browsing through our website. If some issue is open, they are seeing that, so they can also be one of the stakeholders or donors to contribute to different causes. So we have a huge number of such target base. We just need to have that awareness, and second thing is like behavior change is a kind of slow process, right? So gradually, the moment we start thinking that okay, today is my birthday and I won't party, but I will contribute to one cause where my heart lies, and even if a micro percentage of that donor base comes in place, one NPO will be able to raise fund through that only. So it will be a slow process for sure. And I mean, initial signs and progress is very good. And gradually, like it will be evolved for sure.
Kaushal,
When-
as of
when the
now,
thought-
NRIs cannot contribute, right?
No, they can contribute. Yeah, they can contribute provided they have their demat in India.
Okay, so that's because
Yeah.
that's a huge population which wants to contribute.
Yeah. They can contribute.
When the contribution is in the form of the donation, what is the purpose of listing?
So purpose of listing is about, if one NPO is doing a great job, the world should know that, right? And it can only happen when you are transparent and you are able to show all the documents. If everything is going well, there is nothing to hide, right? I mean, you can show. And there is I can tell you the feedback from NPOs who are registered on the platform. Single voice across all those NPOs are that our documents were never streamlined before. Now, because of this registration process, you ask us any document, it's there. And it has become kind of like so many things that we were not aware of, that now we know that. So if we are doing good job, why not to share this with world that we are doing a great job? Because it's very difficult to differentiate yourself among 30 lakhs NPOs. And on the Urban platform, 2.6 lakhs NPOs. One example that somebody was quoting was, if you divide the population of Udaipur by the number of NPOs working in Udaipur, it will be like 4 to 5 people only. So if one NPO can adopt 4 to 5 people, it will be very difficult. But I myself have traveled to different blocks of Udaipur, and if you see the vulnerability, then it's huge, right? And the point is, then after seeing that, one donor will never believe in supporting some NPO, right? Working in that. So it's a lot of like.
I want to add that there is no other means in India of saying that this is a credible NGO. There is really no other certification. Being on Darpan is one thing, but otherwise we can't trust. I will only go to the ones I know. Okay, in my neighborhood or somebody
Yeah.
told me. There is no chap, whereas this becomes a chap
Yeah.
for the certification. There's no accreditation, there's nothing.
Correct.
So this
And
is
there
a
can be
huge
next
credibility.
through different NPOs registered on social stock exchange. And they themselves are reaching out to different NGO, one NGO, and asking that you support exactly what I want. Can you design a project for me?
Correct.
I'm going to fund your project. Right. So it will be a slow process for sure, but gradually, and other thing is like one NPO is registered is not necessarily, mandatory for them to raise fund through social stock exchange. Even if you're going for some CSR funding, you can quote there that we are registered on social stock exchange. And that also adds a kind of different level of, how you are taken by that donor or that CSR
Yes, as a
funding
member of a CSR
partner.
committee, I know how much time and thought goes into identifying credible people. We are never sure.
Yes.
So this is a huge support
Yes.
to CSR committees and boards of companies.
Setting up the old age home project, is it eligible?
Which one, sir? Sorry, sir. Pardon.
Setting up a old age home project, is it eligible?
It is, I think it can be eligible if it is related to some of the goals and how it is
Old
defined
age
and
home
rationals.
it's under that schedule 7.
Yeah, rationals are built. Because there's a lot of tricks and tweaks around different projects. So, if, for example, somebody was asking if they can come up with some Goshala thing of certain like cows which are like just wandering here and there. So can that be created? But certainly, like there are so many research papers and publications that can build some rationale. And as long as it is like, coming under those, justifying those 17 goals, because if you see that 17th point, it is any other, right? So, so even if it is not coming under the category and subcategory, if through any other, if it can be routed through multiple different goals, I mean that can also suffice. So this can be one of the projects, provided how it is explained.
The big companies who want to do the sub project, they have to meet the social aspect as a part of the ESG. Can they register this project on the exchange?
Yeah, they can do that as long as again all the mandates are sufficing. And anyways, I have responded to that query that we can discuss it on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. If
Hospital in urban area, but serving target population and serving other non-target population, also is it eligible for the SSC?
Yeah, as long as it is like 67% for those unprivileged population, it will be eligible.
There is no return on donation or transferability of donation, then what is the purpose of trading?
First thing, it's not tradable, ZCZP. It's a pure donation, and there are so many people still in India, and I mean, they want to support certain causes. They have a lot of money for sure, and they don't care about the return on that. So it's a part of like how you tap those people, and we are even trying to make those people aware through different events and different webinars that how they can support actual like right kind of NPOs who are coming up with good projects. And if the alignment is there, then obviously they will support those projects. And they are not so much keen into like, obviously, if some return comes, why not? But at the same time, uh, main thing that matter to them is impact and how their money is utilized for that, social outcomes.
How
So the
company
social
secretaries,
and environmental outcomes are the returns,
Yeah.
not financial returns.
how the company secretaries can get involved in the professional capacity? Can a CS act as a social auditor? I think this question we answered actually.
Yeah.
The very purpose of registration of company and listing project is to come limelight to the public. Yeah, that I think you've given the answer. So do you think the private crowdfunding platform should be brought under the concern of the social stock exchange, since it is not regulated? Would not be easier to list a project in a crowdfunding platform?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, social stock exchange platform will come up with more advantages. I mean, those platforms can also be used if you have, you know, certain donor base there. But this platform will give you further credibility and certain advantage across that visibility.
I
Okay.
think the market will take care of that. If this is more credible, everybody will come here.
Yeah, true.
Somebody has put, can this presentation be revisited, etc.? Yes, because we are actually disseminating the entire recorded webinar in the YouTube, and you can actually visit that YouTube. You can subscribe. You can actually recall and listen at any point of time.
So this
And there is
presentation,
and there is one more thing, like, we have access to internet technology and all those things. So I would suggest that this video can be helpful. At the same time, you should visit, platforms. I mean, NSC website also. There are a lot of things there. You should read them. You can visit SEBI website. You can see work. You can read through working group report, technical group report. You can read all the notifications. It has a lot of information and insights, and probably that will wow you in terms of new knowledge and new information. You will see that, oh, this is different from what we have been doing till now. So it's a great learning opportunity also to understand something new.
What is the
so the
advantage? What is the advantage for the donors as they're contributing to zero coupon bonds instead of directly donating to the organizations as the donor would get the CSR benefit and directly in contributing?
Yeah, so the different, difference that Social Stock Exchange can create is become a part of that donor club for one big project that can be one. Seeing of impact, but being a group of that would be always like come up with one, compliance requirement and one social assessment report. So it will save a lot of time and money. And at the same time, uh, this is something which maybe future where a big project is coming and you support to that. Same time, if you talk about NSE, we are trying to create that cohort, and certainly we recognize those donors who are contributing to certain projects. We are felicitating them. We are inviting them on different forums to talk about their thematic areas they support to and talk about their vision of a better world. So, our last, event seminar was in Hyderabad. There also we had two big donors, and they were talking about what they care about, and they were talking about how they want to see PO as. They were talking about their expectations of their outcomes, right? That how NPOs should think around their working style, or like how they do their, I mean, their operational things. So that is how, like, they also give a lot of messaging. So if they are doing one-to-one, it becomes a very small visibility. But when this kind of platform comes in place, the visibility goes more. Even NPOs get to learn a lot about their expectations. They have always to learn something new, and the opportunity to tap to certain donor clubs. So the kind of transparency and the visibility it provides, it's good for both the NPOs and donors in a way.
I am a company secretary and qualified the examination to get the membership as well. But the new one in this, how to explore to get the opportunity in this field? And please also let me know, there is a primary requirement to be part of any social impact assessor firm, or individually I can work.
There is a lot of opportunity, and I have responded in the chat box only, that I can connect you to the people who are into all these things, and maybe you can talk to different firms also, that how can you take it ahead.
Audited annual impact report is the same like the statutory audit. No, it is not. Statutory
It's
audit is
not.
altogether different. It is under the
Yeah.
company side. This is the impact of the project. It is something different. It is not the same.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you answered this thing. I should share the question. The exam qualification is there. The concept of how the NPO registered on SSC raised funds are not clear to me. Kindly explain. I think you have set the various procedure. How do you go about it? Another thing and all. I think probably you have
Yeah,
given the
I think
answer for
this question was before I spoke about it.
Yeah. I think that is all the questions, I think. Let me see. Anything further?
There is one question around, I think,
Yeah.
BSc and SSC also, I believe.
Yeah,
NSC as
1 minute.
well.
Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute.
There was one
Here,
question someone was asking that which is better, NSC or BSc?
yeah. What are the benefits of the charitable trust listed in SEE? That is one question. And
We
then
talked about it.
whether the institutions and how individual donor SSC will get ATG, I think you addressed that question also. What are the benefits? That is, you talked about it. Is it necessary to reappear for NSCM again after 3 years of passing the examination?
Yeah, there are certain
Yes.
criteria
Yeah.
on NISM, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How can CA, CS, CMA learn more about social development sector after passing the exam? I think he answered. Go through the
Yeah.
CV circular, go through this
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
etc.
And
NSC or
Go
BSc.
work in an NGO. Go
Yeah,
volunteer in
volunteering.
an NGO.
Yeah, that is a good idea. NSC or BSc
That's the
is a
most
good
important.
NSC or BSc, which is a good for NPO registration.
See, we both are supporting the same cause, and our primary responsibility to, enable this platform, right? So it's totally up to the NPO that what they choose to choose, and both are doing same job, both are doing wonderful job. If you go by the number till now, like we have more than 90 NPOs registered. And when it comes to listing, because listing is the real outcome, right? So if you talk about the market share of registration, we have more than 60% till now. Yeah. And for listing, we have 8 unique listing apart from 2 common listing. And when you talk about their, the unique listing or BSc, then it's none till now, right? So, I mean,
It,
it's
it
not
is
about data that I'm presenting, but at the same time, they are also doing a wonderful job. I'm in touch with them, and we all are with the same mandate to enable this social stock exchange, getting this platform to next level where all the SDGs are supported. India becomes a developed nation. So, it's all up to NPO where they find the comfort, where they
it
find the
correct. It is the choice of the
communication. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
But
how it
It
is,
Kaushal,
how well
you're
they are
being too
reachable.
modest.
Yeah.
I think Kaushal is being modest. The very fact that NSE is so open and so proactive, you cannot say it. But after listening to you and interacting with you, I will say if I were, going to do it, I would go with you because you're there at the end of the line. That's what you were sure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And one thing is that I would say that it's all credit goes to our management, especially our MD and CEO, sir. And he is very passionate about social sector, their projects, and all those things. So it's all the vision is coming from there that we are working for the nation's development, and we are working for better Bharat, developed Bharat, and that is how, like, see, it was a long weekend, and I was to travel somewhere, but I just got a call from Dolly, and she was saying that there will be more than 200 people attending that webinar, and we are going to talk about social stock exchange. Yesterday, I was attending Gulzar Sahab ka session, and between we had some call, right, for half an hour. This was
Yeah.
more important than I will listen to him some other time also, right? But this was important, and this is how we together are working. It's not,
Exactly. What
yeah,
I
exchange. Yeah,
meant.
as Meena Madam puts it is the choice of the NPO. How do you comfortable work with the exchanges? According to me,
yeah,
both the stock exchanges are the same cause. They are regulated by the same
exactly.
regulatory authority. It is the choice of yours whom you want to go with, where you are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll
Anytime.
It may,
take
it may be considered SSC to reduce the annual spending of the minimum 50 lakh rupees. It will be disqualify the grassroots organization that are working with the minimum funds which affect the social impact.
No, sir, we have got this feedback from so many places for sure. And uh, 2 months ago only, when I was interacting with so many grassroots level organization, it was common voice from them also. But
Okay.
the point is, like, we have to set one benchmark first, right? Because we have to create a balance where all the good NPOs and top NPOs come in place. At the same time, for grassroots level organization, it can work as a aspiration. And they can come like, they can collaborate with bigger NPOs and they can work with them on the platform, for the platform, I mean, through the platform. But somehow there should be some benchmark. And it was initially 1 CR. It has got down to 50 lakhs. Let's see what happens next, because the teams are always under discussion through all these ecosystem voices. And
Maybe
maybe
time,
like,
maybe time goes down. This may also undergo change. We can't say that today.
yeah, we can't say that. It's all already under discussion, and it has been, pointed by so many grassroots level organizations also. This can
Correct.
be, but again, like there should be some number that
Yeah.
that can give some inspiration to become a bit bigger, because 50 lakhs nowadays is not such a big number, right? If you
We
think
are
otherwise.
we are always asked about whether the contribution is eligible for CSR. How do we actually handle this query? No, this the laid down regulations are there, whatever is there, because you have to go by that.
Because there are
Can
certain pointers in that regulation. I mean, obviously, uh, working is already has started, and discussions are ongoing. So let's see. Like we are also hoping as an exchange that when CSR will come and it will enable the fundraising process for and volume for NPOs. So we are also like keeping our fingers crossed to to welcome the entire changes.
There is
how can
one,
start?
sir,
Yeah.
there is one important question. Subscribing to zero coupon, zero bond is eligible for ATJ deduction. So I think
Yeah,
that
it is.
That you
Yes, it is.
answered
Yes.
already. That you already
Yeah, it
answered.
is.
Yeah, yeah,
It
you
is now.
answered already.
Yeah.
Okay. How can the startup can get into the, especially startup having social and innovation objectives?
No, so basically for startups, as we go by the eligibility criteria, the minimum age of an NPO should be 3 years. So if they have completed 3 years and able to, suffice other requirements also, they can come on the platform. They can register themselves.
If the NFIBA is to go to seek donors to fund their project to achieve the minimum 75% of the funding, then then why do they register in SSC?
See, the point is like either ways, one NPO has to go to donors for fundraising, right? Whether it's CSR or other platforms. But when they come through social stock exchange, those donors see this differently, because you have already passed one exam of registration, another exam of like, in principle approval, right? So this gives you kind of different level of that credibility that the donor will listen to you. They will give you a more, their ears and attention that that will, I mean, that will be different from the normally going and seeking their time and pitching your project. You will have one more,
Yeah, it is the outreach.
yeah,
Otherwise, you have to do it retail, one on one.
correct.
How
Retail
else do
can,
you raise
yeah,
funds?
yeah. Retail is one where you will have that opportunity to
Yeah,
tap that donor base as well. And as I said that in NSC, we are also trying to bring certain donors, create awareness among those donors, so that the moment your issue has to come, we can inform them. And if they're keen to donate in that project, we will connect you with them as well. So it's not a part of the mandate, right? But considering the challenges that NPOs are facing, at the same time donors are facing, it's a good to bring both of them
yeah.
together. And donors' decision would be final if they want to fund you. But at the same time, you may get that opportunity that you are going to pitch to them. So we are in the
Yeah,
process of
yeah.
that.
Otherwise, one on one is very painful for NGOs.
It's a very painful, yeah.
I think we are done with all the questions, and we can look at any people who have risen the hand.
Yeah,
I
I have
can,
already
I
shared
can, I
my email ID and number. You
yeah.
can note it down if you have any questions. And sometimes, just in case if I'm in meeting, you can drop me a message on WhatsApp or text. I will get
I
back to you for sure.
I think here Madhuri has raised the hand. Madhuri,
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
there? If you are there, you can speak. You can unmute and you can speak. Madhuri Dandekar, I think I can see the hand risen.
I think she had a question and it got answered.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So there are
it-
many,
yeah.
questions coming for whether this recording of this webinar will be available. So it will be there within a week on our YouTube channel of Mehta and Mehta. So you can, have a look at it.
Yeah. Now, anybody would like to ask any question, they can raise their hands. We can permit you to speak, and we will be glad to answer. Yeah. Yes, Madhuri.
Sorry, my question was under the ESG, because some big companies who will take up some projects under to meet the social requirement, can they register that particular project on this stock exchange? That was my question.
They can certainly do that. And what we can do is let's talk about it on Monday. You have my number and email ID.
Okay.
Let's talk in detail, and we'll find that whether it can be eligible on social stock exchange or not.
Because my question was, while doing the ESG implementation, E is, I mean, the within scope one, within the company's operation scope, it is little easy for company to identify and take the corrective actions and all that. But
Yeah.
social and governance are very vague in terms of the impact analysis, and very difficult to therefore find out what would be the right way to go about it, because
We
and
can't call
there
it
is a
vague,
scoring.
but it's a wide
Vague in terms of,
spectrum,
yeah, I mean,
right?
it's
Yeah, it's
much
very
wider,
wide.
wider,
Yeah,
wider.
I
that is
think
why
the G
yeah,
will not figure anywhere. G
yeah.
projects are governance internally oriented. I don't think they fall in the purview of the social stock exchange,
Yeah.
which is to
Sorry,
do
ma'am,
good to the
I was
external
talking
world.
about, sorry, ma'am, I was talking about S, particularly S, the social aspect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
as you have the
Yeah.
CSR funds, right? I mean, use that.
No, not
Why would a
necessarily.
for-profit company want to do this?
No, the ESG concept is completely different, okay? Because they do get rated when they raise the funds. Their rating on the all the ESG principles is very important
Sure,
for
sure.
them.
I understand ESG,
So it is
but I'm
still
just
vague,
saying.
because see, using the CSR funds and doing the impact assessment to show as a fulfillment under the social aspect of ESG is still not linked. Correct me, Kaushalji. I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Madhuriji.
Yeah. So I think the projects done under CSR, can they be treated as a fulfillment under the social aspect or not, will
See,
be
it all depends, and that is why, like,
exactly,
it needs a separate discussion on
exactly,
it,
yeah.
right? So,
I
let's connect on Monday. We
Yeah,
can
sure.
especially talk about this project only. And
Yeah.
as Meena ma'am said that, I mean, there's certain things which may not come under this, social stock exchange for sure.
Governance is aware.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that. Yeah, very
No,
clear.
even governance can be one of the cross-cutting layer in your social projects, right? It all depends on how you take that governance
Yeah,
as you
depending
said,
on the
vague.
stakeholder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you said vague. It's a wide spectrum, and it's
yeah, very wide spectrum. Yeah,
widely misunderstood also,
yeah,
right? Different people have different, thoughts about it.
interpretations.
So I would
Yes.
suggest that probably we can have a separate discussion on this, and
Sure.
let's
Yeah,
schedule a call on this on Monday or Tuesday, but let's connect, touch base on Monday only on
yeah,
Yeah,
this.
sure.
Yeah.
correct.
Thank you
Because
so
this is
much.
being a
Thank you.
Yeah.
specific question. A
Yeah.
specific thing can be talked to one to one because this is the
Yes,
thing. That's what I
yes.
think. Yeah,
Thank
And
you so
let's
that's
much.
figure
right.
it out. Let's figure it out. If it comes under the purview, why not? We will go ahead
Yeah,
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
yeah.
Meena
Anybody
ma'am
else
was
would?
speaking something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think, sir, we have answered all the questions.
yeah.
So, yeah. So we
I
can
think
proceed.
we
Yeah.
can close the session because it's already 1:15.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think we answered all the questions. There is no more hands are risen actually.
And thank you so much for inviting me, sir and Dolly and Meena ma'am. And it was
Right.
really a wonderful, morning, I would say, discussing about social stock exchange. And thanks to the audience as well. I mean, they had a lot of patience to listen to us. It was a kind of monologue as well, many a times. But
Kaush,
I believe that it may have been some bit of helpful and added some value.
Kaushal, the learning was very, very extensive, especially when we heard from both of you, Meena and as well as you actually. In fact, as Dolly was telling, we had more than 220 plus participants were there actually. Even at these hours, if you could see the number, It is almost about 135 hours who are patiently listening to you. So that shows itself what is the importance of the topic, what is the learning they would prefer to have. That's the thing. Great job you all, both people have done, sharing your practical experience and giving the insight of it. Thanks a lot so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Balakrishnan, Dolly, and Mehta. Fantastic platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Great learning from
everyone.
you also,
Bye.
Kaushal. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Bye-bye.
I would like to
Bye,
conclude
bye,
this.
bye.
Wait. I would like to conclude
Dolly,
this.
one more thing is
Dolly
that
will thank them.
your presentation was excellent, brief. You are nicely explaining all the relevant concepts.
Yes,
Hats off to
yes.
you for your good presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So just to conclude this webinar, thank you for giving us so much insights. And that was the only purpose, to keep this webinar, so that because we are coming from CACS background and to understand from the social stock exchange, NSE and BSE, what is the progress from the 2019 till now, right? From the day we heard for the first time the term, and also to understand from the development sector. So that was the reason to keep this right mixture. And thank you so much for giving us so much detailed, especially I also learned a lot of things. Because normally we keep on reading only paper and we don't know the practical, what are the problems and what are the progress, right? So thank you so much for giving us the time, and we would like to thank you from the behalf of Mehta and Mehta. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thanks
much,
a lot.
everyone.
With this, we close our
Thank
session.
you.
We meet
Yeah, and
next
just
week.
yeah,
with the
just
you all.
remember, I'm just an email away, a call away, just in case if you have any queries. Because 2 hour was very less to talk the nuances of social stock exchange, and I would love to talk further, just in case if it is required. Thank you so
So
much.
nice of you, sir. So nice of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks.
Have
Bye bye.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah.